Hey guys, we are live. I'm Jeff with eBay Addicts, and today I got a brand new guest for you guys. I have Theresa Cox is here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for coming on and hanging out with us today. So, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself real quick, kind of tell our audience who you are, where you're from, like what state you live in, and tell them what it is that you do.
All right. I am Theresa Cox. I am a reseller. I've been selling on eBay for over 25 years now. Live in Arizona. I was doing this as a side hustle for probably 18 years, something like that, and moved to doing it full time about 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay, awesome. So you're a full-time reseller. I'm trying to remember. Do you live in Phoenix? Is that correct?
Suburb of
Somewhere.
Phoenix, yeah. Yeah, Phoenix,
Yeah,
Arizona.
I knew it was somewhere out west. I thought it was in Arizona. And
Yep.
so you're a full-time reseller, and so tell me a little bit about how you got started into reselling, and tell our audience real quick, kind of like what your backstory was, like what was your job and what was your occupation before you became a full-time reseller.
Yeah, so I spent 30 years in finance, budget, operation stuff in higher ed. So I worked for a bunch of universities. I worked for USC in Southern California, UC Irvine. And then when I moved to Arizona, I worked at ASU. And I did budget and financing stuff. But I always sold on the side. I got started in 1995, in the fall of 95. I was working at USC. And there was a bunch of computers, and I'd heard of this new site, and I was selling off stuff for work. And it was pretty quick. And then I created my own account a couple of years later, and which is the same account that I have, which is Club Red 97. And I started selling red things. I love the color red. And so, if I found a red hose or a red salt and pepper shaker or a red whatever, that's what I was selling at first. And then, like, most sellers, we quickly learned that everything sells. And if I could make a profit, then I've sort of morphed into doing, all kinds of different, I do a lot of retail arbitrage, that kind of stuff. So I'm not a thrifter. I will go thrifting with my friends, but I am not a typical reseller that loves to go thrifting in the hunt. That's not my thing. So
Yeah, but so you had 30 years of working in the corporate world, and did they offer you like a buyout or a pension or early retirement or something, and then you just transitioned, or did you just say, hey, I've had it with this place, I'm put my 2 weeks notice in, and I'm ready to become a full-time reseller? Kind of walk us through kind of how that transition happened for you.
I wish I had that. I was in my dream job. I worked in the School of Music at ASU, managing somewhere between 13 and 26 employees. Love it. It was my favorite job in my career. I loved the people I worked with. I loved the people I worked for. And in June 11th of 2012, I unexpectedly, completely shocked, got a pink slip. And we were downsizing, change in management or whatever. And I was just completely shocked because I lived and breathed my job. I mean, I would get up and I'd be on the 8 o'clock shuttle, and I would work all day, and I'd be on the 10 o'clock shuttle back home. Like, I loved what I did. And so I was like, okay, one door closes, another opens. And I immediately said, I'm going to focus on eBay, because eBay at that up until then was a side hustle hobby. And for years, it was just, I made $800 to $1,000 a month. And that was my play money for years. And then I was like, okay, I know how to do this. I can, ramp it up. And I did that, and it was going great. And then February hit, and typically for me, and this is consistent, my February sales are just awful. And I was like, oh, I need to have a little bit of more cushion. I need to have a cushion. And so I went back to corporate world. I went back to ASU, got another job. And I did that 2 more times. I got laid off 2 more times. And then I said, I'm done. I'm done with this place. I'm done with everything. And it was like sink or swim at that time. It's like, I don't care what happens. I'm not going back. And so at that point, I made some really big life decisions. I'm single. I don't have any kids. And I was living in my dream home. My dream home was this big, beautiful home, 6-bedroom, 3-bath, beautiful backyard with a pool and, just everything, and the outdoor kitchen. And I love to entertain in the summertime. And I decided that was a huge expense for one person to live in that house. And So I sold it. And then I moved 3 hours north to Williams, Arizona, which is near Flagstaff. And my mom and I had an investment property there. And I moved up there to finish the house so that we could sell that investment property. So I did that. We was there for 14 months before we sold. Came back down to the valley. My mom moved in with my mom. She's now 80, and she just wasn't comfortable living by herself anymore. So I said, okay. And bought an Airbnb, used the garage to store my eBay inventory, and I locked off the master suite, and that was my office. And I rented out the rest of the house as an Airbnb. And so that was fabulous because I had a great place to store my inventory. I had a great office. And then with the crazy, crazy market, in last month, I decided to cash in. And so I did. I cashed in and sold off everything, all the furniture and everything that was in the house, moved my inventory to a storage unit, and I'm still trying to get adjusted to that move. So, but yeah, I've been selling full time since I want to say 2015, fall of 2015, something like that.
Right. Well, it sounds, I mean, I think I've been somewhere similar. So it sounds like you had your dream house that you loved, you had your dream job, and you were kind of, side hustling, doing eBay as a side hustle on the side just to make some extra money on the side. And then it's like all of a sudden your world got turned upside down. Like sometimes it just happens overnight. Like I can relate. When I was working for General Electric, I was there from 2006 to 2016. And I slowly moved up the ranks. And then it was in 2016, the whole company, sold to this Chinese company called Harrier that ran the appliance division. So it was like overnight, they just showed up and was like, all right, guys, you guys are no longer needed. We're outsourcing your whole department. And it's like, you can go work on the assembly line and make 30 grand a year, or you find a new job. So I can definitely relate when you're like, man, I've been in my regular 9-to-5 job for 10 years. You think you have job security. You think you have seniority. You have health insurance and benefits and all this stuff they tell you about. And then all of a sudden they can just snap their fingers at any time and say, well, you're outsourced now. Have a good day. And then that's it. So,
let me tell you, because people ask me this all the time, because it was a tough thing to go. And, it was the security of the, what I call it? The paycheck, the secure income. And right about this time, I read an article about some woman that left some marketing company where she was making 6 figures, and she went to go work in a bar on some island. And her motto was leap and a net will appear. And I was like, you know what? I like that. Sometimes you just have to jump and know that you're better off. And here I am 5 years later. I love what I do even more than I ever thought I loved my job. I work crazy hours. Some days I don't work at all. Some days I work 18 hours a day. And I mean, everybody that is on this journey has the same things. Like I have, I'm going to take some time off this afternoon to go take my mom shopping. And I'm going to take some time tomorrow morning to go take the dog to get her nails done. Like, it's my schedule on my time. And do I work a lot harder? Yeah. But you know what? I love this job because last night I was working from like 11 o'clock till 3 o'clock. Doing some cross posting, getting my shipping done, and that's the beauty of what we do.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was making, over 80,000 a year when I left my corporate job in 2016. And when you go from leaving a job and they're telling you have a pension, you have health insurance, you have benefits, you have job security, you have seniority, and then you go from kind of jumping out of that airplane to where now you're kind of a solopreneur, it's kind of a big adjustment. But it's just one of those things. I definitely can relate. Last night I was up working, and I was so tired last night. You guys could see these circles under my eyes. I was so tired, and I was just like, man, I gotta just take a break. So that's what I did. I just took a break for a little bit. So you do what you got to do. But we're live. Let me say hello to a few people in the chat. I want to give a shout out real quick to Ed, the Reselling Writer, is here. I want to give a shout out to Devela Flips. Annie is here in the house. She says, hey, Jeff, and Theresa. And Ed says, hey, I don't forget you were at the eBay Open as well. So were you at the eBay Open at one time? I saw you were on stage speaking. Were you like a guest speaker there? Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, so I am an eBay girl. My license plate is eBay girl. I mean, that is my native platform. I love it because that was my original. And And so, yeah, so I work with a lot of teams on eBay with, I'll test some things out. I'll give them some feedback or whatever. But that one was, I've been working with Promoted Listings team, and randomly in June before eBay opened that year, they asked me if I would be a speaker on the main stage with Bob Cuppins, who was the VP of Seller Experience, and 2 other sellers, and I did that. And it was an amazing experience. I mean, just the whole thing, just the behind the scenes stuff. We did a photo shoot the day before, and I was like, wow, I've never done a photo shoot. That was way more fun than I ever thought it would be. Like it shouldn't have been that much fun. And,
Right.
but yeah, it was I tell people all the time, if every seller should have that experience. Every seller's not going to get it, but if you have that chance, it was amazing. And then the next year, I actually taught one of the sessions on inventory management. And then, so I definitely had spoke at eBay Open in 2017, 2018. I don't remember, I think it was 2017. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So yeah,
cool.
if you guys get a chance to go to some of these eBay, I went to eBay up front, and I got to go hang out with Rally Roots and Rockstar Flipper, and some of those guys were there. The vice president of eBay was there. So if you guys get a chance to go and just hang out and talk to other like-minded people, and just kind of hang out and take notes, chit chat with people, and you can kind of find out what's working well in their business and what's working well for you. And you never know who you're going to meet or what you will learn when you go there. So if you guys get a chance to go, even if you have to spend $20 or drive an hour to get there, just go there and be around like-minded people. It will definitely be worth it. So did you get a chance to go to the meetup in Vegas this year?
eBay didn't have eBay Open in person, but
yeah.
I did. Are you talking about Reseller Remix?
Yes.
Yeah. So I put on Katie, Vicky, and I, all 3 of us put on the Reseller Remix in Vegas. It was a huge success. Yes, we was there. It was amazing. We're going to do it again next year. We've already got the dates picked out. It's going to be early October. And if you're not familiar with Reseller Remix, then just go to resellerremix.com. And you can see what it was like this year. We don't have any information up for next year yet, but it will sell out. It will. We were close. The facility that we have it at is a small facility, and by design, we're not going to grow, because I think that like an eBay Open where there's 2,000 or 3,000 people there, it's overwhelming for a lot of sellers, and you don't have that intimacy where like you can have the one-on-one conversation with Harry Tornado or Rally Roots or Rockstar, the big YouTubers or the big sellers, or Katie and Vicky have a nice good following. But the facility we have it at has a capacity of, I think, 350 people. And so it was there. It was great. I loved, my whole goal when we went was I'm going to talk to everybody that's here. Like, it's a small group. It was, that was my goal. And I failed miserably. So like next year it's going to be, I'm going to talk to everybody that's here. So, so I did go to that. And I agree with you. Any event, people are like, oh, it's $20. I don't want to drive to downtown LA. And I will tell you that my first eBay event that I went to was eBay used to do eBay on Location, and it was in Denver in May of 2012. So just the month before I lost my dream job. And you get to talk to eBay employees, and you get to talk to executives, and they make themselves available. And I started these just conversations. Hey, what about this? And what about this? And then that's how I developed relationships with a lot of the people that work on the teams behind the scenes. And so those are some of my favorite things. Like I don't need to have a YouTube channel. I don't need to have this or that. I like to be working with the people that I want to help eBay make their product better.
Right. Yeah. And if you guys get a chance and you can walk up there and you're talking to, the vice president of eBay, and you're shaking hands with them, and you're kneecap eye to eye, and you could sit down and have a conversation with these people and say, I appreciate what you guys are doing at eBay, but you need to improve doing this, this, and this. Just something, you're just giving them positive feedback and saying, these are things that we can do to improve. And you're just giving them your honest feedback, and then they'll tell you, oh yeah, we agree. We're working on some things behind the scenes. So if you guys get a chance to go to a meetup, you definitely should go. Let me say hello.
the eBay employees want to hear from sellers. Like it's like winning the lottery for them when they get to go to eBay Open, because the employees want to interact with sellers. So, and they want to hear what you have to say.
Well, you got to think about it. Like I'm in Tampa, and they flew in executives from California, from their corporate headquarters, all the way across the country just to meet up with you guys. So for you guys to say, I don't want to sit in traffic for 30 minutes when they're flying people all the way from California to come meet you in person and talk to you, you're missing out on golden opportunities. And like I said, you never know who you're going to meet up. Like I said, I was there. I got a chance to meet up with, Rockstar Flipper, Rally Roots. You never know who you're going to meet and see some of these events and meetups. And you don't know who you're going to be able to connect and network with. I ran into this guy. I sell a ton of media, and last event I went to, I ran into the guy that sells the most media items on the entire eBay platform, and he gave me his business card. So you never know who you're going to meet and who you're going to run into. That could definitely, change the direction of your business. Let me say,
go ahead.
Let me say hello to some people in the chat. I want to give a shout out to the Flippin' Sports guy is here. Cherry Picker Flipper is here. Says, any events near Tampa? I don't think they have anything going on right this moment, but they may after Christmas and after New Year's. Because last event I went to was the eBay Upfront event, but they're going to have more events coming next year, I'm sure. And I wanted to say hey to the reseller niche. Mo is here, and I don't know if I pronounce your name, Guanvella. Some Spurn. I hope I didn't mispronounce your name. It says great video. Hey, thanks for coming by and hanging out with us today. If you guys have questions for our guests, go ahead and drop it in the chat. So I wanted to talk to you guys real quick because I actually met Theresa. If you guys get a chance, I have an article listed in the link down below in the description, and it's called "A Bigger Audience Than Ever. Power Sellers Are Making 6 Figures Off Resale Apps." So I have the link listed down in the description below, so if you guys get a chance to read it. And I read this article. It came out about a month ago, and it says that you are generating over $200,000 a year annually across 7 platforms. And it says that you have over 5,500 items active listed in your eBay store. So I kind of wanted to get into your reselling strategy because this is your bread and butter. This is how you pay your bills, and this is your full-time gig. And you said you do a lot of retail arbitrage. So let's dive into that a little bit. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So, eBay is my first love, and up until about 2.5 years ago, I sold on eBay and Amazon. And when I sold my big house, I just had this dumb idea that instead of donating all this stuff, I had 6 bedrooms, and you have decorations, and I had a playroom. I had no children, but I had a playroom. So when my nieces and nephews came to visit, and let me tell you, that playroom turned out to be gold, because what I was doing with, and I'm still not there. My theory was I would take and I would list my personal items on eBay and sell them, and I could make $100,000 in a year. Well, that year is gone, but I'm coming up on hitting $70,000 in sales from just the junk that you and I would normally throw away. We move and we're going to dump this. Now, it's taken a lot longer to get that stuff listed. I have hired photographers. I hire a lister, and we're still listing my personal stuff. And I'm like, I look at my thing. I'm like, I paid $12,000 selling my old work wardrobe. Like, let me just tell you, I didn't pay $12,000 for it. So that's fun for me. So I'm doing that on eBay, which was actually great during the pandemic because I had this garage full of inventory and I didn't have to source for it. Where on the other hand, on the Amazon side of things, I loathe selling on Amazon. It's my least favorite platform of all. And I don't do it nearly as much as I did a couple of years ago. But retail arbitrage, go into the stores and, use a couple of apps. I use Scan Power, scan the item. It tells me what my rank is, how many sellers are on, all that sort of, and you make buying decisions based on that. And I still do that. I toy with it. Went to Vegas in October, stopped at a couple of stores in Vegas, bought a bunch of stuff, came home, that kind of stuff. So the retail arbitrage is not my main focus right now, but I still, you got to do it. You can't not sell in Q4 on Amazon. It's just, I don't do toys. I don't do any of the trendy stuff. It's just, I'm not there. I'm not here to chase those unicorns. And so I do a lot of clothes and shoes are my big thing on Amazon.
Okay, cool. And so tell me how you kind of grew your store, your eBay business, because when I saw that, read the article and it says eBay girl on your license plate, I was like, oh, I've got to reach out to Theresa. We've got to reach out to this girl. We've got to get her on the channel. We've got to sit down and chat. So you have your license plate on your vehicle. On the thumbnail, it says eBay girl back there, and you have. You said, we were talking before the show, you have 5,700 items active on eBay, right? So talk to me a little bit about what your strategy is, because you've been doing this for, you said, 25 years now. So talk to me a little bit about what your journey is like, and then maybe you can provide us some tips or tricks or advice to help other eBay sellers that are watching today.
Yeah, the biggest thing, I had a bunch of inventory, and I moved 3 times in 18 months. And so, it's a time suck when you move. And I wasn't getting stuff done. When I lived in Williams, I was doing a lot of retail arbitrage because I needed income, and that was a fast flip, and I was making good money doing it with only 2 or 3 stores in Flagstaff that I would source from. And so what I realized when I sold that house and moved back down here, interesting thing, I sold it to the family down the street that was teaching them how to sell on eBay and do retail arbitrage on Amazon. And they had 3 girls at home. At the time, they were 4, 10, and 13. And I hired them. I mean, I love hiring teenagers like that. The 4-year-old would come over and she would zip tie my shoes together. And the 10 and 13-year-old would, take labels off, and they would all help me ship and package and stuff. And then we'd go to the stores together, and I'd give them a scanner, and they'd be like, hey, is this good? Is this good? So, it was fun training them. Then when I sold that house, there was a big Quonset hut on the property, a 70 by 40 foot building, like one of those metal half round buildings. And the back half of it was my eBay room. And when I moved, I hired at that point, Sydney was 15 years old. I hired her. I left all my listed eBay inventory in that room, and I hired her to ship for me. And so my eBay business was able to keep up running. And I paid her, I paid her 10% of whatever I sold. And I did a couple of tests for that. Like, okay, like for a week, I would time myself from the time I left my office, pulled the items, came back and shipped it. And then I would see, I'm like, this is pretty good money. She's making $43 an hour today, and she's making $62. And, you'd sell a $500 item, she'd get $50 for that item. It's like, that's the deal. She sell a $12 item, she gets $1.20. So, and then, there's a couple of things where I would pay her a little bit more if they were a little more troublesome to package. But so that was that. And then when I was down here in the Valley, I hired a photographer, another teenager that had been working with me since she was 12, but she was here. And so I hired her, and she would come over to the Airbnb. I had a whole photo set up there, and she would take pictures. Like her first summer after high school, she would take pictures, and then she would list for me. And that was great. And then she would take pictures. And then during the pandemic, I hired somebody that would list for me, and she would just take pictures because I needed somebody here to take pictures. So then I developed this whole inventory management system with taking photographs. And so the key there is she left last month to go on an 18-month mission, and we got almost everything photographed. And so I have a bank of pictures now that my VA, my listing VA, is listing for me. So the point is, how do you grow? I spend most of my time shipping and managing listings. Mm-hmm. And I do some cross posting, but I have a VA that now creates my listings for me, and I launch them, and I have a VA that cross posts for me. And so You cannot grow from whatever you have, 1,000, if you have the inventory, get the help, and you will grow exponentially. And my income has grown exponentially as well. I pay. So, and people ask me this all the time. This is what I pay, and this is working for me with several different VAs. So I pay $1.50 a listing to list, and I have a VA that lists directly and lists perfectly, and so I have a VA that lists directly on eBay, and it's $1.50 a listing. And I pay my photographer 50 cents, 75 cents, depending on what it is. Sometimes for games and stuff, I'll pay $1 a listing. So the idea is it's going to be $2 to $2.50 a listing between photography and listing it, doing a draft. And so you have to build that into your margins. And I'm talking about, if you look at my Instagram channel, I started doing this. They were like, I don't have anything that I need to ship, but I have things where I will buy things, okay, like this. Oh, I took the price off. Buy these little things. The price on here is $1. So I'm buying them at 10 cents, end of, clearance stuff, whatever. They were $1. So what would you list them for? $2, $2.99? No, I list them for $12.99 for a set of 2. And those are the last 2 I have. I had a whole box of them. Those are the last 2. So you have to have those kind of margins to make money, because eBay takes 15% and then, $2.50 here, and it all adds up. And if you're going to make any money, you have to know how to do the pricing of your items. It frustrates me when I see somebody that's like, oh, I bought this for 50 cents and I sold it for $8.99. I'm like, yeah, you didn't make any money. So I'm with you. I'm not one of those people that want to have a race to the bottom to try to sell my items the cheapest. I'm okay with waiting for the other guys to get sold out. And then let's say there's 3 people that have their item listed, and let's say I'm listing a VHS tape and mine's new into shrink wrap, and there may be 3 other people lower than me. Well, I'll let them sell out. And then once everybody else is sold out, then mine's is going to sell for $29.99 and sell for full asking price. The whole thing is all about supply and demand. So when that person logs in and says, I want to buy whatever your item is, let's say it's a VHS tape, the other guys are sold out. You're the only game left in town. So now, due to supply and demand, they're going to go to your item and pay full asking price because you're the only game in town that has it. So it's all about supply and demand, guys. And I would rather wait and get full asking price instead of selling it for $9.99 with free shipping just to say I sold an item today. You can wait them out. Let everybody else sell out, and then you're the only game in town. So, Theresa, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but in the article that I read, it said that you made $200,000 gross sales. Is that correct? Yeah, give or take. I don't ever throw out my actual numbers, but that's a good, I made over $200,000 last year.
Okay, guys. So if you guys can do the math, that's about $4,000 a week in gross sales. That's not profit, but that's gross sales. And one of the ways that you're able to do that is through cross listing. So, I research. You guys don't know this, but before I have a guest on, I do about 2 to 3 hours of research before I have a guest on. So one of your little tricks you have up your sleeve is use a platform called List Perfectly, so you can kind of spread your items out on multiple platforms. So if you have an item that's like, maybe it's still inventory on eBay, it may be still on that platform, but you may have it also listed on Poshmark and Mercari and seven other sites as well. So the idea is you're going to get more eyeballs on that item, and those more eyeballs should convert into more sales. So could you talk real quickly about that?
Yeah. So I have been a List Perfect. So interesting. I have a unique story about List Perfectly. So I run an eBay sellers meetup group here in the Phoenix area. And in February of 2019, the founders of List Perfectly came to my meetup, just like anybody else. Hey, welcome to the thing. And then they chatted with me afterwards and said, hey, we have this idea. We have this product that we're doing, and we'd like to chat with you and show you what it is. I'm like, oh my gosh, this sounds amazing. I need to see this. And so we did a little Zoom call and whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. And we were talking about, it's a platform to help you list faster, but the cross-posting thing sort of took off faster. But it's a software that helps you create your listings much faster. There's a lot of research in the back end as far as your SEO and your titles and all that sort of stuff. But one of the first questions I said to them is, this is great, but I've got 4,000 listings on eBay. What am I going to do about those? I like the idea of listing them, but what about these? So anyways, I was working with them, and then they would show me some stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, but what about this? And then they did a soft launch in, I guess, like May of 2019. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. You guys need to go to eBay Open in July. And so they did, and it sort of snowballed, and it took off after eBay Open. And so I've been along for that ride, and I do a lot of testing for them. It's like, hey, and I'll submit feature requests like everybody else can. Hey, what about this? Can we have this? Um, and then, but it definitely has been a game changer. And it's last year. I haven't done my numbers for this year, but before List Perfectly, I sold on eBay and Amazon. And all I'm doing is taking my existing eBay listings and cross-posting them to Poshmark, to Mercari, to Etsy, the ones that are. And then I play with a lot of my Amazon stuff. I list in my List Perfectly catalog, and I play with those on Tradesy and Grailed and Depop because I sell a lot of men's clothes.
Yeah.
And last year when I did my numbers, I added up all the sales that I had made on all the platforms that I wasn't using before List Perfectly, and it was over $26,000 in extra income. And so I averaged that out. That's $2,200 more a month. And I'm thinking, is this worth it for a $70 subscription to have to make $2,200? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, I use the tool, and I definitely use it every single day because now I use it for my inventory management. But when people want to know how do you grow and how do you do this, you have to get help. And so I have a VA, and I trained her how to cross post for me. And this is I was just looking at my catalog, and I'm like, okay, I just listed a bunch of vintage stuff on eBay. I imported it into my List Perfectly catalog. I sent a message to my VA and said, okay, take everything that's with the word vintage in the title, that's on eBay, that hasn't sold, that's not on Etsy. And I want you to cross post that. And it was 400 items. So I paid her $100 to cross post those. She got it done in a day to cross post those 400 items. And that was 2 weeks ago. And I made $1,000 in Etsy sales. Like, I don't think I've made $1,000 in Etsy sales in the last 3 years combined.
Yeah.
And so that's the difference is, and this is all the same stuff that's listed on eBay. I'm selling a lot of vintage ornaments, a lot of vintage T-shirts, a lot of vintage, that kind of stuff. Where before with Etsy, I was focused on selling fabric, and I'm a quilter. My mom owned a quilt shop, so I'm a quilter in my former life. I don't do much quilting anymore. So I'm selling off that kind of stuff, and it was a sale here, a sale there. Right now, vintage, my Christmas ornaments are, all for my personal stuff that I'm not going to have 7 Christmas trees ever again. And I'm happy to sell them. And so, that's $1,000 that I made on one platform in 2 weeks.
Right. And so if you guys heard what she said, she made $26,000 more in sales by using this platform List Perfectly, that if you didn't use this platform where you are listing on multiple different sites, you wouldn't have got those other sales otherwise. So I'm not sponsored by List Perfectly. I've reached out to them on Instagram to see if I could get them on the channel so we can pick their brains and ask them questions. So far, I haven't heard back from them yet. But, it's fourth quarter, it's Q4, and everybody's busy with the holiday season. But I will reach out to them again. We have a few questions here in the chat I wanted to touch on. I'm not ignoring you guys in the chat. We have a question from Victory. Says, do you do your own bookkeeping?
So because of my former life, doing finance, yes, I'm not one of those people that uses QuickBooks, even though, back in 1996, I was a QuickBooks beta tester because I still have the t-shirt. It's the only reason I know that. But I use Quicken because QuickBooks is too much about invoices and the formal way of running a company. And if you have employees, W-2 employees and that kind of stuff, then or if you have investments in QuickBooks, but I just use Quicken. And I will tell you that for years I did my own taxes. Biggest mistake I made. With my background, I'm like, I don't need to pay a CPA. Paying a CPA was the biggest benefit I had to my business. And the reason is they do this every day, all day. They know what things get audited and what don't. I told them, look, I'm happy for you to go into the gray area as far as you can, but do not cross that line. Where I was way too conservative in everything that I did with my business because I didn't know. And so spend in a great a CPA to get, doesn't matter where you're at, is Mark II, not your dad's CPA. He's a reseller. He sells on Amazon. He was a speaker at the Reseller Remix this year, and he does my books. He does a lot of resellers taxes. He doesn't do my bookkeeping. He does my taxes for me. And yeah, so reach out to him. Bookkeeping is different than doing your taxes, so people don't get that confused. Bookkeeping is keeping track of, and I don't this is a mistake I think a lot of people make, is I don't track every transaction. I don't track that on this item, I made $3 profit. On this item, I made $80 profit. I do it as a whole. This is how much I spent for my fees on eBay this month. This is what my income was. This is what my shipping was, and all that sort of stuff. And Mark has a great spreadsheet to keep that people can just plug in numbers, and it just feeds into his stuff, and he can just do your taxes that way. And it's fairly easy to do, even if you're not a numbers and financial person.
Yeah, I don't mean to bore you guys in the chat to death talking about numbers and taxes, but a question came up in the chat. I want to give a shout out to Liz is in the chat, and we had a question from Ed, the Reselling Writer. He says, if they have an eBay open in person in 2022, will you be attending? Theresa, you already said that you're going to be attending the one, and you guys having an event in October next year. I didn't get a chance to go to the one in Vegas. My girlfriend fell and broke her leg, so she had to have surgery on her knee, and I couldn't leave her here in Florida by herself. But I'm going to definitely try to attend some more meetups. This past year, they had that big meetup with Craigslist Hunter and Cincinnati Picker, and a lot of those guys had a meetup in Cincinnati. So if they have in some future meetups next year, I'm definitely going to try to attend at least 2 or 3 of them next year, just depending on, scheduling and all that. But I'm going to try to make it a priority to go to more of them. We have a question from Debbie. Says, I don't think that List Perfectly is available in Canada. Does anybody know the answer?
They are not. I know it's something that they were working on before the pandemic hit, and I don't really know what the, I don't know the reasoning, but one of the things that I know from working with eBay and managed payments is when you work with different countries, you have different currencies, you have different banking issues. You have, like with eBay with managed payment, was like every country has a different banking system that they have to deal with. With List Perfectly, I don't. It's right now. It's only available in the U.S. for U.S. sellers. So I don't know. They don't. They do want to tackle the Canadian market. I do not know what their time frame is or anything for that.
So I don't know if you know the next question I want to ask you, Theresa, but okay. I hear that you're a big proponent for promoted listings. Some people love promoted listings. Some people hate it. I know, from my perspective, I feel like we're already paying XYZ number of dollars to eBay already anyways. So it's like every dollar more that you're giving eBay, it's almost like you feel like you're giving away your profits to eBay. But I recommend that you guys at least try promoted listings. I try to do everything at least 1% of promoted listings. So the idea is you want to get your items on the first page of the search engine. So let's say, hypothetically, I just have these laying around. Let's say I'm trying to sell these shoes. And there's 100
shoes.
Yeah, let's just say there's 100 people that are all trying to sell the same exact shoes as you for the same exact price, same color, same everything, right? So with promoted listings, that's going to help push your item higher up in the eBay search engine, which should get you more eyeballs. So those eyeballs should, in theory, convert into more sales. So I say you guys, if you guys haven't tried promoted listings, you can at least try it out. I don't do trending because I don't want to give them 7, 8, or 10%, but you can at least do 1 or 2%. So
okay, let me tell you why that thinking is flawed. One thing that I love about eBay promoted listings, and I have worked with the promoted listing team so close when they were rolling this out, is that my favorite thing about it is you only pay if the person clicks on the promoted link. So I have 5,600 listings in my store. Every single one of them is promoted. I don't pick and choose. Even if mine is the only thing on the internet, I still promote it. Why? Because if somebody is searching for something similar and my item is promoted, they will see my item. And so I'm not a fan of the 1% because I do think it matters. I will promote between 3 and 5%. And in Q4 or in saturated markets, I will do trending. And so, if clothing, everybody's like, clothing is so saturated. Well, yeah, but guess what? Clothing is a really high seller. So, if you have 1 million listings, but you have, 250,000 sales a month, you have a good chance of selling your stuff. So I think people look at the numbers in the wrong way. Yeah, there's a lot of, if I search, Levi jeans, I'm going to see 6 million of them. Well, yeah, but how many of them sell? And so, again, promote everything. And I think that it's wrong to think about how much fees you're giving eBay, because the value that you're getting is worth way more than what you're giving them. So Poshmark is 20% fees. And
Right.
what do I have to do? I have to share. I have to go to parties, and I have to do, just the responding to offers and comments. Like, it's a lot of work, and they still take 20%.
Yeah.
eBay, for round numbers, it's a little less than this, but for mental math, I use 15%. So if I'm promoting something at 5%, that's 20%. And I feel like that's what I'm doing on Poshmark. But eBay has 187 million active users. eBay has an international market. If you're not selling internationally, you should be. It's not hard. eBay makes it very, very easy. There's no reason to block out any countries. I sell to anybody that wants to buy from me. I don't care where you live at. And I do ship directly. Some people, you can use GSP, Global Shipping Program. And so I am a big fan of, and I agree with you, try it. It may not be for your business model, but if you are not doing it because you're afraid of it eating into your profits, you're not pricing your stuff high enough.
Well,
Let me ask you something. Let me ask you those shoes that you have. How much are you listing them for? Because I have those shoes right now in my Amazon store. Actually,
I picked these up at Ross on clearance at Ross, and I think I have these listed for I think it's around $80, honestly. Around 80. It was between 80 and 100. I don't have the listing in front of me, but I just happened to grab them just because they were nearby. But anyways, I've got to have you back on again, Theresa, because you know your numbers. I actually have you guys go to the community section on my YouTube page. I actually have it listed that eBay actually has 187 million active buyers on the eBay platform. So if you guys are, I'm really surprised that you know those numbers, because only like eBay nerds like me actually keep track of all these things. So, but yeah, definitely, guys, you guys should definitely check it out, because I saw that you did a video with Rake and Profit a while back, and you were talking about how you got an extra 30% increase in sales by doing promoted listings. I noticed that me personally, with items that I sell a lot of media items. About half of my sales come from promoted listings. So I'm getting there'll be a little link, there'll be a little tab, and the item sells via promoted listings. It'll tell you the item sold for promoted listings. So let's say if you sold an item for $20, what's 1% of $20? It's like, well, it's next to nothing. We're talking about pennies. So if that's going to help you convert that sale quicker, and now you have that cash that you can reinvest to go get more merchandise, to me, it's worth something checking out. So. I don't want to keep you on told, Theresa. Before we came on, we were going to try to keep the show 45 minutes, but we're having fun chit-chatting. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what would be your top 3 tips or a piece of advice to help somebody out to grow and scale their business. So what would be your top 3 tips? So I watched this video and I heard all about Theresa. She's killing the game. You left your corporate job. You're now making $200,000 a year in gross sales. You're selling on multiple platforms. What would be your top 3 tips or piece of advice that would help another reseller grow and scale their business to where they can make $100,000 or $200,000 a year? Because you're doing this out of your garage, basically. You don't have a big warehouse. You don't have 20 employees.
I don't want a big warehouse.
Well, go ahead and drop some knowledge on our audience.
So the first thing I would say is shut up and list. And if you go to my YouTube channel, you can see when I was on eBay stage, I did this. Bob asked me a question and I said, you want the answer? And it was talking about promoted listings. And I said, shut up and list. Because he was talking about he asked me, what do you tell people when they complain about more fees? And I said, you want the truth? And I said, I tell them to shut up and list. Because here's the reality. The fees you're paying eBay is nothing for what you're getting for the traffic, for the global market, for the support and all that other stuff. So shut up and list. Don't get involved in community drama. put your nose down to the grindstone. If it's not listed, it can't sell. If you're at that point that you think you can't afford to hire help, do it anyway. And the first summer that I hired I call them minions, affectionately call them minions. The first summer I hired my minion, she was between college and high school and college. And I was like, oh, I don't know. She told me she wanted to make $1,000. And I'm like, So I said, you know what? I'm just going to do this. I mean, it wasn't that I couldn't afford it. It was like, did I want to spend that money doing it? And so because of that, I tracked, here's the listings that she listed. And it took, I don't remember the numbers now, but like 5 weeks before I broke even with $1,000. And I had only sold 7% of the items that she had listed. So when you don't think that you can afford $1,000 to have somebody list for you, do it anyway. And then the third thing is, look into, if you're a single platform girl like I was, look into List Perfectly to cross post your items, because it really is a game changer. It's grown my business. It's made a huge difference in me being able to move inventory, because every platform has different eyes and people shop the platform that they like.
I just wanted to give a shout out to Liz. She says, #shut up and list. Cameron Gravity Good says, I want that on a t-shirt. Says shut up and list.
Go to Amazon. I have it in my Amazon shop.
I wanted to give him a shout out. He's for the $4.99 super chat. He says, thanks for being a great guest and having Theresa on your show. Happy hump day. Hey, thank you guys for coming out and doing this. I can't put on the show or do any of this without you guys in the chat and the people, the viewers watching and supporting the show every week. We appreciate you more than you know. And I try to bring on a new variety of guests on every week so you guys can hear from different perspectives and people all across the world. Like I'm in Tampa and Theresa is all the way in Phoenix. So there's no other way we would meet up in person unless it was something like StreamYard and on YouTube. So you guys heard it. You guys.
I'm impressed with the variety of guests that you have. Very impressed. Oh. Like you have it from everywhere.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. I had Caleb Roth on the other day. We had Cincinnati Picker was on. You just never know who's going to show up. My buddy Rosengrind Picker was on a while back, and you just never know who's going to show up or who will stop by. And so we appreciate you coming on and hanging out with us. I want to give a shout out to Yard Sales and Dreams. Says I'm late, but I'm here. And I want to give a shout out to Gravity Goods. And it says, keep bringing on great guests. Yeah, I have a new guest coming on. I have a new guest coming on tomorrow, and he lives in his van. He's a full-time Amazon reseller and a YouTuber. So you got to meet this guy. You would not be able to believe it. Believe this guy. So I have his channel link down below. So hey, Theresa, I'm going to try to wrap this video up, but you got to promise to come back on again sometime after the new year, okay?
Absolutely. Just give me a shout out. I'm good.
Okay, so hey, tell everybody where they can go by and follow you and check you out on YouTube and Instagram. I have your links listed down below, but let them know where they can follow you.
So I am at Numbers Geek on Instagram. I run the Boss Business for Online Selling Success Facebook group. If you're not in there, absolutely join that group. I am now doing a virtual meetup group for the Boss. It's going to feed into the whole Reseller Remix thing. You sign up for that on the eBay seller events page. And so Facebook is where I really hang out during the day. I'm on Instagram, a couple of times just checking it out. But and I have a YouTube channel, but it's mostly to post videos of things that I'm selling. So I'm not a YouTuber. I don't want to be a YouTuber. And but yeah, give me a follow on Instagram and sign up if you're a Facebook person. Sign up for Boss Business for Online Selling Success, and there's a link in there for the virtual meetup. So you wanted to meet up with people. My whole idea was, hey, there's a lot of people that don't have a local meetup group that want to get together. And so I'm going to do it virtually with eBay's blessing. We're going to have our first one in January. I'm already lined up with somebody at eBay, an eBay employee that's going to help us figure out the Seller Hub Performance tab page. And I plan on having a lot of eBay employees and different guests, but because I have access to the eBay side of things, we'll definitely have a lot of eBay, what do I want to call it? Product specialists.
Yeah. Okay. So, hey, I got one quick question. Well, I got two questions for you. Okay. One quick question. what is your plans in the future for your reselling business? Because you've already grown and scaled your business over 25 years, guys. So don't wake up and be like, hey, I'm not selling $200,000 a year like Theresa is. She's been doing this for 25 years. It takes time to grow and scale your business. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. But what are some of your long-term goals that you see yourself in the future over the next 3, 4, 5 years with your reselling business? And then if you could give our audience your final thoughts, and we'll let you go.
Yeah, I am not one of these people that wants to I'm at the end of my career. I am not one of these people that wants to open up a warehouse and make millions of dollars. There are people that are going to make millions of dollars. I want to sustain my lifestyle and to, be able to put some cash in the bank and all that stuff. And I'm preparing for retirement. But so in 5 years, I don't know, I'm here, I'm taking care of my mom. She's 80. And so she doesn't need full-time care or anything, but she does need to have somebody around. And so I'm not out doing retail arbitrage every day like I should, like I normally was. So my life is very different right now, and that's okay. This is the beauty of this. And so, so 3 or 5 years, I'll probably still be doing the same thing. My hope is to, my next house, I hope to be moving somewhere in the mountains with a basement, so I can be like Liz and be, just a girl selling out of my basement. And then when the day is over, go upstairs and enjoy my, clean, uncluttered house. But yeah, so that's, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And, right now I'm just trying to sell off my inventory like everybody else and ship my items on time. And so as for, a final thought, I just say, you've mentioned it a couple of times, network. It is a huge thing. In-person events, they're starting to come back. The people that you meet, the connections that you make face-to-face, you never know what they're going to be. I mean, Claire and Amanda came to my meetup group. That has been a huge thing. I mean, it's fun for me to hear their side of the story when they met me, because I am List Perfectly's first user. And so that's kind of fun. I didn't know that until maybe 3 months ago. And then so to hear, them talk about that. So network. You never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to run into that you say something that sparks something, or they say something that sparks something in you. And it could take you on a whole other journey.
Right. So yeah. I was just talking about that the other day with our guest, Caleb Roth. And I was just telling you guys that, my dad told me when I was a kid that the two things that's going to change the outcome of your life is, number one, what books you read and what people you meet along the way. Because you're at some point in time, you're going to come to a fork in the road, and you're either going to turn right or you're going to turn left. And by meeting certain people and gaining certain knowledge, you might turn right where you otherwise would have turned left, or you might have turned left where you otherwise would have turned right. And that may make, that might have a butterfly effect that may change your life for 10, 15 years down the road. So, hey, we greatly appreciate you coming on and taking time out of your day to hang out with us today. All of the links are going to be down below if you want to go follow our guests on YouTube and Instagram. And until then, guys, I will see you guys tomorrow. Like I said, I have a brand new guest tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be talking all about his retail arbitrage. He does a lot of retail arbitrage going to Ross and Marshall's, and he resells full-time on Amazon, full-time YouTuber, and he lives in a van. And so the title of the video is Let's Talk About Amazon, Van Life, and YouTube. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. Till then, you guys have a great day, and we'll catch you in the next video. Bye, everybody.
Alrighty. Thanks a lot.